Okay, you got that on there?
Yep, it just came up.
Okay, and should I put Dave on the call too?
Sure.
Dave, you're on the call.
Yep, I'm here.
I have like this almost unlimited power to mute and unmute people. It's fantastic.
There you go.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about what's going on here. Johnson Home Construction.
Yeah, I don't know if you recall, but last week, if you go down to the main headlines, we last week gave you a few headlines, and you liked the direction. And what we did from here is to kind of together filled out the body copy to just kind of continue where we started with the headlines. And then Jenna worked on the inner box and some of the slider headlines. So, if there's time after the body copy to take a quick look at the inner box and the slider headlines, that might not be a bad idea either. So basically, we got our start last week, and we took this week to kind of flesh it out, and we're hoping that we're close enough we can get this off to Dawn soon.
Okay. This word uncomfortable, I don't think it's a bad word or wrong word, but I wonder if there's a better word. The things that make remodeling or painting uncomfortable and stressful for homeowners. Let's sort of sit on that one for a second. Let's keep going. I've completely eliminated all of them with the treat you like family, 0. Treat you like family. Seems like we probably need a comma there. What do you think? You're kind of a grammar checker for me half the time anyway.
I think we had it in there last time, and you took it out because it looks
weird with that thing.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't things.
Let's see what happens if we make it that. Whoops. Golly, I can't get rid of that thing to save my life. It seemed like last time we had this in quotations, then we had a quote in a quote or something. I think if we use a regular quotation mark, it looks easier to understand. People hate high pressure sales and pricing games, so my wife and I sit with you for a relaxed. People hate sketchy crews that are late, loud, and disrespectful. So I demand that every employee treat you like it's your mom and dad's home. People hate jobs that drag on forever and leave a big mess. My team always leaves it cleaner than we found it. Okay, just a little cleanup, I think, on aisle 3 here. People hate high-pressure sales and pricing games. We need it. I just put my finger on what's causing me a little disconnect on this. We need to do one of two things, and right now we're straddling the middle. We need to go one direction or the other. We need to either do ... so my wife, or we need to go period and get rid of the so. One of those two things. Which do you prefer? Because when we put the so here with the period, it breaks that flow, and it seems weird to begin a sentence with so after that other sentence. So in my mind, I either want to put an ellipsis here. You see how that changes that feel?
Yeah.
People hate high pressure sales and pricing games. And again, people are using the punctuation to allow them to understand the pacing and pausing within the spoken dialogue as it's translated onto the page. So which do you prefer? Do you prefer that, or do you prefer that? Because either way is good, and they have a little bit different feel. If I put a period at the end and I start the other one without the so, it has this sort of matter-of-fact, heck yeah, that's what we do kind of feel. I don't necessarily have a preference. Actually, I do have a preference, but they're so close that I will ask your preferences instead.
I think knowing this client, I would prefer the period, the one that, like you said, is more direct and like, absolutely, this is what we do. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we can go with the period. The only thing I was and we did end up changing last week the middle one and taking out the so. There's something about the ... and then so. It's like there's a rhythm, pause, so.
Right.
But I think you can get that pause with the period too. So.
But let me tell you what my preference is. I think I'm going to lean, 58% versus 42% to the ... and leave the so in there. And I like the so because I think it's a more obvious way to say, hey, I did something about it, instead of them having to read it and then interpret, oh, they did something about it. It just makes it a little bit more in your face that I've done something. But I could go either way. So that's just a minor point. But I like these minor points. I think it's for me. I'm a nerd, so I think it's kind of fun. But I also think that it's good to talk through these things so that when they come up later, that you can approach them on your own and say, okay, what do I think? Because there's a lot of different little things like this that come up. Some people hate high pressure sales and pricing games, so my wife and I sit with you for a relaxed consultation. Sit with you. What do you think about parents versus mom and dads? I bet you've already thought through that. What do you think, though? What's your thought process?
I like mom and dad better because mom and dad is more personal than the word parent.
My biggest concern with mom and dad is the alarming number of people who don't have mom and dads that they
like. That crossed my mind too.
And so now we're saying, oh, that a-hole.
Yeah.
Most people generally have at least one of their parents that they're still fond of.
Yeah.
Surely there's some people that hate all their parents, but
yeah.
I don't know, just a little thing. I
know. I get a little bit of what you're saying there, and also it kind of there may be some people that are fond of both, but their mom and dad aren't. It's not one home or whatever, which this also implies. But one of the things is if you go through the body copy, I'm actually quoting him from the call because he uses that phrase a lot with his employees, and I guess that's another reason we went with it. And it kind of ends the body copy, if I'm remembering this correctly, and it. This is what he drills home. It's almost, he didn't put it this way, but I kind of did in the copy. It's almost like their golden rule, do unto others. It's like, do unto this home as you would your mom and dad's home. And so that's the flavor trying to get across here.
I can't do that. I'm trying to shorten it up also a little bit. Just word efficiency is something that I want you to always be thinking about. Can I say the same thing with fewer words? So let me just give you this little equation. I'm making this equation up right now. I've never said this before in my life. It sounds good in my brain, so let's see how it sounds in real life. If you use 100% of words and it gives you 100% power, and you can use 60% of those words and still retain 90% of the power, I'd probably go for the 60-90 trade-off. If you go from 60% of the words and you only get 60% of the power, then that's probably not worth the trade-off. You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
if we can keep it, I mean, if you cut words, a lot of times you are going to lose power. But if the power loss is not that big and the word efficiency is healthy, then we probably should, use as few words as possible, especially in headlines. Okay, in all situations, but particularly in headlines, I just want to be as short as I possibly can. We follow the treat it like your mom and dad's home rule. I think that's an interesting way to say it. Certainly no one's ever heard that there's something called the treat it like your mom and dad's home rule. We're stating it as if it's the golden rule or something that everybody, adheres to or abides by or has heard of. And even though they haven't, I think people can very quickly and easily go, oh, okay, that sounds interesting, and I understand it. People hate jobs that drag on forever, leave a big mess. We always leave it. We always leave your team. We always, so my team always, I think it's just as easy to say we always leave it cleaner than we found it. Leave your home cleaner than we found it. I don't know. I'm doing what I'm good at, which is fine-tuning probably too much for this call. So let's keep moving, okay? Let's face it, a lot of home improvement companies talk about good service and high quality, but talking isn't doing. And many homeowners fall down when it comes to time to deliver on their promises. Just emphasis here. And watch this emphasis here also. So that dash just gives that the end of that sentence a little bit more oomph. Okay. After 20 years in this industry, I can tell you exactly why so many people fail to meet expectations. Because these contractors have never taken the time to precisely define their standards and then communicate them clearly and effectively, clearly to everyone in their company. Those contractors have never taken the time to precisely define their standards. Now, here's an area where we use this underline trick to make sure that in this large, long sentence of lots of big words, define standards, precisely communicate, that we tie things together visually that we want them to make sure go together. Because it might be easy to read that precisely define and then standards, we want it to go together. Precisely define their standards and then communicate them clearly. Or communicate them clearly to everyone in their company. Which do you think, Dave? Do you want to underline there, or do you want to underline there? We can't do both because it's too many underlines.
Well, it put me on the spot about it. I would go with communicate them clearly only because that matches up with define their standards. It's like part one, define their standards. Part two, the other, and then I'm emphasizing everyone with the caps. I don't know.
Yeah, we've encountered already 3 real close calls. Define their standards. So you're saying communicate them clearly. So now we've got 2 things we've got this parallel thing going on. Everyone in their company. What if we do this?
Go ahead.
What if we go like this? I know we've got that capital there for a reason. I don't want to discount that, but what if we just tried this?
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think it's important that it's all the people, everyone in the company. I don't know. Again.
Yeah. And maybe overdoing it then though, because then on the next paragraph I bold and italicize every again. So I don't care.
Because you know why? You know why I don't care? Because they're not there yet, and I want to make sure that they get it here first. It's more important here than it is in the next paragraph. The first paragraph is more important than the second, which is more important than the third, which is more important than the fourth. So if I have to choose, I'm going to put it up higher where I want to make sure that understanding is crystal clear. But this whole conversation, here's all I'm hoping everybody's noticing is, okay, where can we pick and choose some things that we can really use some emphasis tools to pull out a little bit, make it clearer and more powerful. So this is good. Johnson Home Construction is different. Our promises and processes have been taught through and through with great care, have been thought through with great care, and every employee is trained to meet my high standards. This means our customers get consistent stress-free experience and outstanding results every single time. So here's where I'm falling short just a little bit. And again, this is just worth thinking about. Maybe we don't end up changing anything. After 20 years, I can tell you exactly why so many fail to meet expectations. Most contractors have never taken the time to precisely define their standards and then communicate them clearly to everyone in their company. So then we come in and we say, well, we do those things. We have thought through, we do communicate it. And here's what we're left wondering. So what does it look like when they don't do that? You see what I'm saying? I just told them they talk about good service and high quality. Talk isn't doing. People fall short. And the reason is because they haven't communicated those standards, and they haven't communicated them to everyone in the company. So I'm going to propose something here just for fun. What if I came in here and said something like this? And for instance, now do you see how the for instance automatically makes me go, oh, okay, I'm going to find out what you mean. For instance, if the owner is adamant about being on time, but tardiness is tolerated, on the job site, I'm making this up, I don't know if this is actually true. That's a problem. Or if management wants workers to, again, I'm making this up, double check. You see where I'm going with that? Just one or two brief for instances. And so now what they do is they go, oh, I get it. The owner, see, because this is something I think is very easy for people to understand. The owner of the company has awesome standards, but the guy on the front line is a dope, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you ever go to, I don't know, think of a retail chain, not Walmart. You go to an Apple store, and if the guy is a little bit grumpy and surly with you, you think, well, he's a disconnect because from the top down, we expect better than this. We know that the top is strong, but now we've got this weak link on the front. I don't know. Maybe it's overkill. I'm going to just leave that there, and I'm going to highlight it as something that can be thought about. Maybe we leave it out. Johnson is different. I'm going to articulate one more reason why I want to put that in there. If I don't put it in there and I come right back in with, hey, we do everything great, we're awesome, blah, 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 which is articulated much better than I just said. Our promises have been thought through with care. Employees are trained to meet high standards. This means our customers get consistent, stress-free experience and outstanding results every single time. I think this is kind of hard to understand. I really do. I think people are going to go, okay, you're saying you do stuff great. We've thought through our standards. Our employees are trained. This means our customers get consistent, stress-free experience. And at the end of the day, it's missing a little bit of grit that helps me really feel the problem that you're giving me a solution for. Otherwise, it almost kind of feels a little platitude. Hey, we've got these great processes. We do everything great every single time. We don't mess up. And I'm sitting there kind of going, what was the problem again?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, and maybe it needs to be higher up. Some of the grit does come down as we define specifically from there on down, like what they do. I'm not saying that we maybe shouldn't do that, where we define it a little higher about what doesn't look good. But you know how you sometimes get a sense from a client of the ratio of positive to negative they're going to accept or like. I got the feeling that he much prefers to define himself in a positive way, and the I mean, we're already on the headlines kind of going like, okay, people hate this, but we're not specifically talking about competitors like my competitors do this. We're just saying, hey, people hate this stuff, and let it imply that it's that's what the other guy might be doing, but not saying it. And so I guess once I got down to the body copy, I was trying to keep it.
Let's back up a little bit here. Let's approach it from a different angle. And I'm not saying that, Dave, to say, let me approach it from a different angle so I can convince you what I was saying is right. I'm actually going to back up, and I'm going to take into account what you just said, and I'm going to approach this from just a slightly different angle. Because you're absolutely right. We've got this up here. We've got this up here. And we've got this up here. Okay? Let's face it. They talk about good service, high quality. The talk isn't doing. Let's do this. What do you think about that? It feels like we've got too much. It's getting lost in here. This is really what you want people to see, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This. And we don't want to make it peak, but I'm just showing you on the screen so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we go. No, this is that word efficiency thing. Most contractors never. Okay, let's watch this. Precisely define their standards and then communicate them clearly to everyone in their company. And now, see, this is just reinforcing to me that you made the right decision on the second underline. And we might even go back on that to what you had. We know it's Johnson Home Controls. Why use that mouthful of words that people have to meander through when we can just say we're different, right?
You know why I did that? I'll tell you exactly why, and it may be right, it may be wrong. And this goes a little bit to one of the headlines where you changed it to "we always" instead of "my team." I'm a little bit hesitant to change from "I" and "we" interchangeably all the time. And to say I'm different doesn't work, so that's why I put it. Now, that might be right, that might be wrong, but you asked my reason, so there it is. That's why I did that.
I didn't really
see what
follow
I'm saying?
We're
saying we're well, actually, maybe I'm wrong, because here I am scrolling down your screen again. Especially as I get down to the expect sections, I use the I, and we sign it by the owner. And the headlines are I. And then right in the middle of it, we slap a we in there. Do you think I'm overthinking that, or?
Yeah, I think you are. I mean, I think, let's take a look. My wife and I do this. We follow this. I think it's perfectly normal and okay for a company owner to be talking in both first person, here's what I've done, and here's what our company we do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay there.
Okay.
Hang on just 1 second.
Yep.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I don't think that's a big of a deal. In fact, one of the things I want to encourage you Dave and others to at least discuss with your clients is in the situations where we're using this first-person approach, which is pretty frequent. My preference is to put a photo of the owner with a caption underneath that says, you know, Dave Jones or Dave and Mary Jones. There's two of them in this case, so maybe you put them both on there. Dave and Mary Jones, you know, co-owners, Johnson Home Controls. And it makes it that much more personal. And I think the I thing is probably going to be just fine. I mean, let's just go back and check it real quick. You know, those things make it stressful, uncomfortable. I've completely eliminated all of them. Treat you like family. Now, the thing I would worry most about with this I is that if it's a husband and wife, then you probably want to stay away from the
yeah, and as you were saying this, I was thinking that too, and I probably should have better defined that. As it happened, because of a technical problem, his wife couldn't join us on the phone, and but if it may be that he wants them both to be signed on the bottom, because I do, like he told me, about 80 to 85% of the sales calls they do together, and they only don't do them together like when they have two appointments too far apart or something. But so they are pretty much a team. So we probably are going to want to do that when I think about it. We can make that adjustment though.
Yeah, I'll let you make that adjustment, and of course that'll affect a couple of other things. Like it'll affect this right here. So if it's both of them talking, you wouldn't both say my wife and I, right? So you'll just make a few adjustments.
We'll have to figure that out. Yeah.
But the issue a minute ago was down here under this Johnson Home Controls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I keep saying controls. Johnson Home Construction is different. I just like the simpler.
No. When you put it out like that, it's pretty clear that doing the shorter is better.
Well, and I like it because it's more informal, it's more authentic, it's more sincere. It's just, hey, we're different. Our promise.
Well, it's also the pivot point, and when you can make that pivot point a little more abbreviated, I think it punches just a little bit harder.
Do you want to pivot it even that much?
No, I'm saying by making that shorter, the kind of the pithier the pivot, the better, right?
Maybe we even make that pivot point look like that. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
Worth looking at.
Okay.
It's worth looking at. I don't know.
I think it draws attention to it, which is nice.
We're different. Now, our promises and processes have been thought through with great care. This means our customers get consistent, stress-free experience. What can you expect from our team? You need to look at that, of course. Expect character. I was raised to leave things better than I found them. That's why my company is a strict leave it cleaner than you found it policy. I found that a little bit odd up here when I saw this up here. We leave homes better than we found them, no exceptions. I find that almost to be, this sounds really harsh what I'm about to say, like I'm really bagging on you, Jen, or Dave for writing this, but it's almost an idiotic comment. Because they're coming to paint my home. Of course it's going to be better than you found it. They're coming to remodel of course it's going to be better than you found it. I don't understand. Why would you say you're going to make it better? It's like the gas station advertising. We always leave your gas tank fuller than when you pulled up. Well, yeah, I don't get it. That's what you do, right?
So should we replace better with cleaner?
Well, in this context down here, it makes more sense because you're explaining it, right? You're saying, raised to leave things better than I found them. Strict, leave it cleaner than you found it policy, whether we're painting or remodeling, we thoroughly vacuum. And so in that context, I go, okay, I see what you mean. Up here where there's no context, I find it odd. Okay, let's go back down and just finish this out. I mean, Hey guys, don't. Hopefully, you're not getting discouraged by this whole conversation. I love it when we
No,
get
it's good.
an identity and we're working on fine tuning, because that's all we're doing here. Expect competency. It's hard for me to believe some painting companies will actually use temporary day labor. The little highlight, little emphasis there, right? Temporary day labor as workers. At Johnson Home Construction, what about this? I'm just not a big fan of the putting the company name in there a bunch of times. I think it's overkill and it's weird and it's wordy and it just starts to sound more corporate. Not that corporate's bad, but it sounds like something you'd read in the IBM brochure or something. We would never do that. You don't have to say that. You can just eliminate it altogether. Not a big exclamation point guy, but it seems to work there. All new hires go through go through 3 months. Not sure about that. I think there's a hyphen there.
I'm also going to have to clarify that regardless of industry experience part.
Is that not true?
With him, I don't. The truth is, I should have asked, but the answer is I don't know because I didn't ask that question. The way
more powerful, and then pull it out if he doesn't want it in there. It's no big deal.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it is a huge deal, but the context of the conversation leads me to believe he was talking about like somebody who was brand new to painting, and not somebody if he was hiring somebody that already had experience. But I'll clarify and we'll pull it out as needed.
We require all new hires, regardless of their experience, go through a 3-month. Something like that just brings it a little more personal.
Yep.
You notice I'm tending towards more personal, more personal, more personal. Here's a good word to just kind of keep in your back of your mind. Then anytime you're writing for any client, the word is authentic. You expect minimal disruption. By the way, I like this expect. Did we talk about that last week?
No, this was not written last week. We had only done the headlines.
I like that. I like that. You know, we had a similar type of a construction where we absolute. I like this expect, minimal disruption. My crews know they're a guest at your home. You know, this is a really powerful sentence. This is really interesting. I like it a lot. My crews know they're a guest in your home, at your home, whatever. I like it. That's a powerful way to start that section. No foul language, no loud radios. I like that sort of staccato short sentence with periods. It's interesting. Show up on time. Use our dustless sanding tools to cut debris by 90%. In other words, there's never an excuse to be fouless or disruptive. You know, I'd like to put this in the how to write an overview paragraph Hall of Fame. This is great. I love it. Expect professional grade quality. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Do-it-yourselfers and cheaper contractors usually use contractor grade paint. I use premium professional grade paint. You pay about 10% more. That's a little less in their face, right? It costs about 10% more, but it looks I like that juxtaposition of 10% more, 1,000 times better, to last up to 10 years longer. You get the sort of alliteration going there. Quality pays in the long run. And the most important of all, expect, respect, period, end of story. Okay, I like this, except for the way it looks on there is all so it looks like the word respect is part of the word expect. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I
think
kind of look at it
a little long with the dashes in the period end of story. Is it too much in that? I don't know. It does look too busy or something, or run together or something wrong.
Yeah, and it's interesting because clearly what you're trying to say is it's not just respect, it's R-E-S-P-E-C-T, respect, right?
Yeah.
And I think people can understand that. I mean, that song and that whole concept is well known enough. I think that it works. It's not the concept of having the dashes and the R-E-S-P-E-C-T that's throwing me a loop here. It's just that it looks run together, and so I'm having to pause. Let's see what happens if we take this off just for grins. Expect, respect. Let's see what happens if we put a space in there. Let's go back the other way. No, let's put a space in there, but leave the other stuff. Okay, now let's see what happens if we just put respect spelled out normally. Now let's see what happens if we do it this way. I think ultimately the problem is that the word expect and respect are so similar that it fries the brain cells a little bit somehow.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's something about that PECT at the end that.
Well, it's like up here. Did you notice when I read these words, I fumbled them the first time?
Yeah.
Because my brain wanted them to be the same. When you just quickly look at it, I was like, our promises have been through and through. What? Oh, thought through. So we've got sort of the same thing going on down here, where my brain is looking at that, going, what? So I'm not sure what the solution is. I don't know. That probably doesn't work either. Hey, hopefully what everybody's taking away from this conversation today is that it's worthwhile to think through these little details, because it makes a huge difference in the way that it's internalized by the reader. I'm going to leave you to that decision later, Dave. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Everything comes back to the Johnson home construction golden rule. Treat every home as if it is your mom and dad's home. We got something going on here. You've got this here that doesn't go with anything else. Everything comes back to the Johnson home construction golden rule. Treat every home as if it is your mom and dad's home. We've already talked about it earlier, so you can make this consistent. Treat every home as if your mom and dad's home. Everything we do, from refusing to play pricing games to our leave it cleaner than we found it policy, all centers around 100% respect for the homeowner. I simply won't tolerate anything less. If we sound like your kind of company, we'd be honored to give you a free consultation. Okay, it's good. It's good. This needs to be, something needs to happen here. I don't know what it is. I'll let you worry about it.
Okay.
But if you, at the end of the day, Dave, if you said, you know what, the heck with it, I'm just going to leave it, I'd probably be okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, well, Jen and I will play around with it, see what we come up with.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't spend another 30 minutes trying to think that up, but, if you can come up with something, come up with it. I'd probably change this too. This thought through, it's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, okay. We can work with that.
Okay.
Let's go back up to the top. You had asked to review these. I'd already commented on this. We've got to remember that these sliders, we want them to be read as if they're in isolation, if they're in a vacuum, as if there was no other information to modify them or qualify them. And in that regard, this one does sound a little bit weird. No games, no pressure, no hassle. What kind of games are there that people play? It's pricing games. Are there other games? We listen to what you say, so you get what you want, not what you think you need. Not what we think you need. Here's what I'm going to do here. See how that makes that a little bit easier to read?
Yeah.
So you get what you want, not what we think you need. We created a culture of competency, the best products. You probably ought to go periods here.
Okay.
I think this is pretty good. I want to show you guys something that I saw the other day. It was in a website sketch. It was right here. You guys seen this one before?
No.
I thought this was a really interesting way to do the design on the box. I think I would actually, if I had this to do over again, I would probably flip-flop the colors. I'd make the headers that are in bold. I would probably make them white, and I would make the text dark blue so that the headers stand out more than the text. But I thought this was kind of a cool way to take 4 bullet points and make those headers really jump and allow people to go bam, 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 and just read those very quickly, see and absorb that there's additional information, and then go back and read that information if they want to, but don't go back and read it if they don't want to, but still get that full impact. It just seemed like a pretty interesting way. You can use all bold like this in short bursts like we're doing here. You can't use a whole sentence of all caps because it's too hard to read. But I kind of like that. I may get with the design team on that. But just keep that in mind as, I don't know, showing you stuff on a call. I think overall we're looking good here. Okay, guys?
All right, sounds good. So
Yeah.
we'll clean up some of the stuff you talked about, and Jen and I will look at those slider headlines. But if I'm hearing you correctly, once we do that, we're okay just to go ahead and send it to Dawn.
Correct.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it again. Do you want me to send this to you? I don't think I've made enough changes on it.
Well, I actually, if you would, I would appreciate it because we did do some things, and you also have highlighted what we need to maybe take an extra look at. So if it's not too much trouble to save it and send it, that'd be helpful.
Did you see all that trouble that was? It's on its way. Okay.
Oh.
All right. I think that's it. So we're going to move on to Joe, who got shafted last week. And let me unmute you, Joe. Joe, you there?
Yep, sure am.
Sorry to shaft you last week, buddy.
Yeah, I kind of took it personal.
I know. I got your nasty email and your I sent you a box of Kleenex. No, you know what happened is I figured out later is at the very beginning of the call when you were having trouble getting on. Remember that? That's when I told everybody, hey, I need you to type into the box right now. If you got anything else, let me know. And you didn't hear that, so you didn't do it. And that's how it is. I apologize. But we got time now, so let's look at this. Is this the one that I just worked on the other day?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to make a comment to you, but I want everybody to hear it. I sent that email to you, and Joe, I felt like the criticisms that I put on the email were pretty harsh, and I just want everyone to know, for me, it's all business. I feel good about this team. I think we got a lot of talent. If I rip you up on a critique, I am going to copy other people on it, especially the ones that get ripped up, because I want other people to see the things that are getting ripped up. So don't take it personally, and hopefully we've got thick enough skin to do what you've done here is go back, take another pass at it, and let's talk about it again, okay? So just wanted to say that, Joe.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that.
As I was sending it, part of me was feeling kind of bad, like, obviously I had a lot of issues with it, and then to copy everybody else on it and, I'm pointing at Joe, it really isn't like that to me. It's just the things that need the most work are the ones that I want everybody else to see the most. So if you are a recipient of an email like that was intended for Joe, and you're Renee or Dave or Nick or Jenna, I want you to stop and look at those. Take 5 or 10 minutes out of your day and say, okay, here's something that got ripped up pretty good. What was it? I want to see what it is so that I can, learn from this also. Okay. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger on the screen. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking 2 shots at this also. We'll talk about it when we get down there.
Okay, we're going to go straight to the static, okay?
Okay.
All right. Why have more than 4,000 San Mateo and Santa Clara homeowners trusted Signature Roofing for their roofing needs since 1993? We do things different. Okay, now, here's what I don't like. I don't like taking all this stuff here, and these are not headlines. These are explainer paragraphs. So like on that last review that we just did with Dave, I said, hey, if we could take and put this in the short explanatory paragraph Hall of Fame, I'd put it there. I'm not commenting right now on the content of these 4 paragraphs. I'm commenting that they're misplaced. We don't want these in the header, because what you're doing is you're forcing that reader to have to read all of that information. And even if he doesn't read it, he's seeing it all there, and it's sort of jamming him up. We want to be able to, with headlines only, and this is not headlines only, this is headlines with a bunch of text. We want to say main point, main point, main point, main point, main points, text, okay? And what you're doing is going main point, a bunch of text, more text. And it's too much.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay? Now, before we even get to that, I want to go back up to here. Couple of things. Why have more than 4,000 San Mateo, Santa Clara homeowners trusted Signature Roofing for their roofing needs since 1993? Number one, this is redundant. Signature Roofing probably services roofing needs without you having to say it. This goes back to that word efficiency thing we talked about. Remember?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm missing the S, sir.
We do things different. Now, generally speaking, go ahead.
Well, here's how this thing has kind of been, massaged back and forth, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, is that when we originally talked to the guy, his thing is that this is all they do is one thing, right? They do single family sloped roofs. That's all they've done. That's all they ever do. So that was kind of the angle I was going to take on it. We do one thing, we do it perfectly, and this is kind of the explanation of it. But as I went back and revisited with him about this and kind of the angle, their big thing is that, you could literally, if you want to look at a single color type, style, thickness, pattern, they're going to have 50 within your area. I mean, they got a Google map that they're going to put up, and all you see is the little green pinheads, and that's just totally covered. And so that's why I went back and and he wants to push to get the quote because they have like a 50% closing ratio. So, that's why I kind of got it going two different ways there. I'm not sure how to flush it out.
All right, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. These guys have been around for 20 years now, correct?
Right.
They've done 4,000 roofs, and those 4,000 roofs have been in a reasonably compact geographic area.
Correct.
Okay, so that when I look on a map, anywhere that they have any interest in serving, they're going to have a ton of customers, not just in the county, but in the immediate neighborhood vicinity of that potential customer, correct?
Yeah, within a couple of blocks usually.
Okay, and so what you're saying is they want to leverage this social proof to the hilt.
Correct.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, his main objective is to get them in there and get that quote. That's why I kind of went with the no deposits, no salespeople, using the satellite technology.
Okay, so you remember my comment on this stuff right here, right? My comment was not, hey, this is the wrong stuff. In fact, I hadn't at that time, and still even right now, I hadn't really even looked at it that carefully. But it was, you're asking me to weed through and digest a lot of information to find out what it is that you do different.
Yeah, I see that.
So let's take a look at this. I'm going to ask you a question you might not know the answer to. They've done 4,000 roofs in that area since 1993. Is that a lot compared to some of their major competitors?
Yeah, I think they own pretty much that whole area, I think.
Well, I have more than 4,000. The construction of this headline, I'm just finding it sort of hard to plow through. Well, I have more than 4,000 San Mateo and Santa Clara County homeowners trusted Signature Roofing since 1993. We do things different. It feels like there should be a quicker, easier, more powerful way to make this same point. Not way different, but just a shift a little bit.
Okay.
Now, is it fair to say that, nobody really knows roofing companies because, you rarely need your roof done, so most people aren't paying attention. But is it reasonable to say that as far as name recognition goes in their area, they probably have as much or more than anybody?
Yes. That's why the branding is, wasn't so much with the ID as it was, again, trying to get that quote. So, it's a little, he's looking at an ID, but yet the objective is, kind of something else.
Well, I would sort of disagree with that line of thinking. I mean, because here's the thing. The fact is that most people don't know his company because most people are never thinking about roofing, okay? So they may have heard of him. He may be on the radio or TV or something like that. They may have seen the signs around. So there may be some level of awareness, and that's good. I mean, obviously, that the more awareness, the better. But most of these companies' awareness probably stops at this company exists. Now, in terms of why they're different, how they're better, why should I hire them? It's probably almost non-existent. It's just that I've heard of them a bunch. And that I've heard of them a bunch is good because I'm more likely to trust somebody that I've heard a bunch because that probably means that they're bigger and more well-established and do a good job, and you can't stay in business and get heard of forever if you suck. So that's probably good. But we still want to make sure we tell them. And it's not like we're going to tell them stuff about us and then they're going to go, oh, well, I don't want to quote now. mean, the quote is the natural result of people being on the web page, seeing what you do, liking what you do, and saying, yeah, that's who I want to hire. You know, I did a webinar the other day. I don't know if you were on it or not, Joe, and I used a sort of unusual word to describe what we're trying to accomplish on these websites, and the word was love. And I said to these contractors, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give people the information that they need to make the decision on the website, as opposed to having to wait to have the salesperson come out and give them that information. And what we're trying to do is facilitate that decision-making process so that they fall in love with your company based on what you've told them, so that they draw the conclusion, not, I want to get a quote. I want to get a quote as the natural byproduct of, I love this company, and this is the company that I want to do the job. So, of course, I'm going to get a quote, as opposed to, hey, get a quote because we're here and we exist. So I don't know if we really needed that explanation, but there it is anyway. Why have more than 4,000? I copied this because what I want to do is I want to leave the original, but I want to fool with the way it's written, okay?
Okay.
I'm doing something right now that I encourage you guys to do on almost every one of these calls, which is put some stuff on paper that if you're not quite sure if it's what you really want or not, but put it on there and take a look at it. Maybe I hate it, maybe I won't, who knows? Until you get it on there, you never know. San Mateo and Santa Clara County Homeowners Trust Signature Roofing. We've replaced over 4,000 roofs since 1993. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. So all I'm doing is going down here and picking your points out, right?
Right.
See, when you say no regrets, no guessing, I don't really know what that means. So I have to read this, see what the shingles will look like on your home.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, drive around there.
Do they have a map? You said they have a map with pins,
Yeah,
right?
they've got that, and then they have a list of every little suburb and county that you can click on. I mean, there's 31, I think, areas in that communities or whatever.
So essentially, they're saying, I'm going to use the nomenclature of my local neighborhood and community, okay? So you won't know my neighborhood, but I just want to make sure I hear this right in my own brain. They would say to me, hey, you live in Southlake and you live in the Kirkwood Hollow neighborhood. We'll print you out a map of Kirkwood Hollow, and you can go drive around and look at all the homes in Kirkwood Hollow that we've done.
Yeah, actually, they'll go a step further than that and say, drive around, and not only their dumping to all be different. So his whole thing is, not only can you just go say, oh, there's a nice looking roof. You'll say, you know what, I'm thinking about this thickness and this color and this pattern. You'll say, okay, you'll check them out here, and here's your other option. Go look at these houses. So it's not just seeing our work; it's seeing exactly what you're considering.
Let's see. We got to find a way to say this. Satellite technology. We don't need to step.
Accurate measurement before you step 1 foot in your yard.
How do you spell the freaking word satellite? Come on, Rich. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I'm going to leave it for just a second though, because
okay.
Despite that last one, that's a little bit weird. Here's what we've got now. I don't know if I need that there or not. San Mateo and Santa Clara Homeowners Trust Signature Roofing. It's sort of a statement dripping with confidence. All by itself, it's not very good. But if we qualify it with other things immediately, then it becomes that flag on the mountain that we talked about before. We've replaced over 4,000 roofs here since 1993. I like that short word here. It's obvious that we're talking San Mateo and Santa Clara County. I've already taken the time to say that. But I also want to make sure you notice I added that because I think it makes it personal. It makes it. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, so I want to leave that in there. We've replaced over 4,000 roofs here since 1993. Here's why they trust us. We only require a $100 good faith deposit to get started. No hard selling ever. Only non-commissioned sales reps. Local proof. Drive around and see thousands of local jobs. I don't mind that the word local is in there twice. I think it helps. Okay? Local, 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 local. Now, you know, the reason I'm putting that in there and emphasizing it and being okay with the duplication of words is because this is where you told me they really want to specialize is to leverage the social proof, right? Yeah, that's correct. Okay. I do think, though, it's good to put that down, second or third instead of first, because I don't want them to get burned out by putting it there. Mm-hmm. Local, 4,000. I don't want to put it there because then they're going to assume that that's all I'm going to talk about. I want to give them something else first. Probably third here. I'm going to get that thing to move. Local proof. Drive around and see thousands of local jobs. Now, the whole thing about colors and styles, we're going to talk about that later, right? We have to pick and choose. We can't put everything in the headline. That's why they're called headlines, not the whole thing. Easiest quote, satellite technology. Easy. Wow, how'd that happen? Easy, accurate quotes. Okay, something like that. Now we'll talk about satellites later, right? We've got to pick and choose. Now we've got a headline funnel going. Hi, I'm George Belbin, president of Signature Roofing. When you call us for roofing needs, I will personally handle your estimate. This doesn't sound like the right way to start this. There's no warm-up. There's no acknowledgement of what was just above. You know those things that make it uncomfortable? I've eliminated them. People hate this. People hate that. We do this. We're better. Let's face it. A lot of home improvements talk about good service and quality. See how there's a get acquainted paragraph there, an acknowledgement of everything that just happened above?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's missing over here. When you call for your needs, I will personally handle your estimate. So what you're saying here is that the reason you should do business with me is because I'm going to personally handle your stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong or bad or anything like that he does that. It just seems really an awkward time to bring it up. It's almost like sitting in the baseball game, out in the stands of a Major League Baseball. You're there to watch the game, and you're sitting with your friends, and you turn to your friend and say, gosh, you wouldn't believe it, but I got the worst case of hemorrhoids. And they look at you and go, what? What? Were we just talking about who's playing first base today? Is Mitch Moreland going to be back? Is he still injured? And you're what? No, it may be something that comes up during the third inning. I don't know, but it just seems out of place here.
Yeah, I think I originally started that. I changed that after I was kind of cut some words down. I think I started with, when's the last time somebody over-delivered or said they over-delivered and actually, did it or something like that. I think I originally did.
Here's what I think you should do. I mean, there's two major things that you said you wanted to talk about with this client. Number one is that they've got all this local social proof that they want to leverage, and the other one that you originally wanted to go with was what? You said it.
I'm sorry, somebody.
The original thought that you said you wanted to go with, but then you changed it to more of the local angle.
Yeah, we do one thing. We do one thing. That's all we do. One kind of roof, one kind of customer.
See, we want a narrative here, right?
Mm-hmm.
San Mateo and Santa Clara County homeowners trust Signature Roofing. We replaced over 4,000 roofs here since 1993. Here's why they trust us. We only require a $100 good faith deposit to get started. No hard selling ever. Only non-commissioned sales reps. Local proof. Drive around and see thousands of local jobs. Easy, accurate quotes. No surprises. No add-on costs. Focus. One thing. No distractions. Some roofing companies do roofing and siding. Others hang windows. Some will build you a deck, and so on. Not us. Since 1993, we've only done one thing, and we're really good at it. We replace residential roofs in blah, blah, blah county. Nothing else. 0 windows, no siding, just roofs. This is redundant to what I just said. We've gotten so good, in fact, we replaced 4 times more roofs than the next biggest. Ten biggest roofing companies combined. I don't know what the real number is.
I'll check and see.
No. See, for your roofing needs, we don't need that. Probably don't even need that. I will personally handle your estimate. I'm just being funny here.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, map of the stars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is how we want this to flow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
maybe you can shorten this up like this. You know, then we have one here for non-invasive measure. You know, something like this. So I'll let you work through the rest of that. Do you get the idea?
Yeah, sure do. I appreciate it.
Okay, let's go back up here and take a quick look, and then we got to get moving here. Let's take this and make it into a period. Now it becomes more of a statement. Anytime you use a thousands number, let's always put a comma in there to make it easier to read. Pick a neighborhood, pick a street. You put that no deposit thing down here too, in this part. It's big for the $100 deposit. Do you notice how I call it a $100 good faith deposit?
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm assuming that's what it is. There's no other explanation for asking for $100.
Yeah, that's all it is. We've had only one person ever not pay out of all those years. Pretty good.
Can't spell completion. Whatever. Completion. Experience is your advantage. After 21 years, we developed systems and processes that provide maximum value. That doesn't really mean much to me. Okay, good. All right, I think we're good to go here. Oh, hang on. Let's check that box real quick. The signature quote. I don't know if I like this better because that's their company name, but it also sounds like it's just hard to tell what you're saying. I know what you're trying to say. So, you know, that's probably not it, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, what I'd probably want to see here, and I kind of like that, anatomy of an easy ironclad quote. It's kind of fun. I don't know what it is, though. It might be satellite measurement. formal proposal. I'm making this up because I don't know what the steps are.
All right.
Then you say something here about not a foot on your lawn kind of a thing, right?
Right.
You know, pictures, materials. That's probably not true, though.
Well, he's got 17-page process thing that he does give them.
Yeah, but it's satellite measurement. Then it's also materials consultation or whatever it is, right? Because they got to come talk to you about what you want. I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to call it materials consultation, formal proposal. Anatomy of easy ironclad quotes. See, now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of walking them through the steps. Satellite measurement,
right.
Materials consultation, formal proposal, ironclad, no pressure, $100 good faith deposit. Easy, fast, guaranteed. Something like that. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to
Thank you.
let y'all go. Appreciate being on the call today.